that might be one of the best depictions of hell I've seen, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
It's pretty crazy.
It's a place you don't want to visit. Hello and welcome to another episode of Frightfully Forgotten Horror Movies, and this will be our last episode before we take our break into the new year. But before we get started, what are we drinking?
Today we're drinking Tarman Black IPA.
Alright. Today we're going to bring to you a request by Dustin. This will be a Trash or Treasure episode on 1992's The Burning Moon.
The Burning Moon is an independent German horror film that's shot on video. What they call it, SOV film. Directed by Olaf Ittenbach. And he's done quite a few things actually, but mostly as a special effects artist. And watching this movie, you could almost tell that this is like a highlight reel almost for his special effects.
Yeah. Burning Moon starts off with this loser kid, and he's basically getting dropped off to a job interview, and he's kind of bitching too. He's like, I don't even want any part of this. My parents are making me do this shit. So he's in the interview, and he just fucking bombs it too. He's
on purpose.
Yeah, he's just being like a fucking dipshit. You know, he's asking, would you want water or coffee? And he's like, how about a beer? It's like, well, the guy doing the interview is actually being pretty, like...
civil,
yeah. Bombs the fucking interview, and he gets out, and they start drinking right away.
In the car,
yeah. Then we see this loser kid get sort of mixed up into this gang fight, this fucking crazy-ass gang fight.
These switchblades and
fucking
chains.
broken bottles and people getting stabbed and fucking beat up, and like, holy...
Looks like people were legitimately hurt making this scene.
It's like when they're on the ground, you can see the pain in their eyes, like, just like, oh... So he comes home, and his mom starts giving him shit right away. He's like, you look terrible! And he's getting into an argument, he pushes his mom, and the dad's not having any of it. Starts roughing them all up, and, you better shape up! You better get your act together! We see that he does heroin. He looks at the moon, and the moon looks like it's on fire, like it's burning. He's like, ah! He's all screaming at the moon. He's got to watch his sister, and so he proceeds to tell her stories for bedtime. And the first one being Julia's Love.
So this is an anthology horror movie. Then you kind of find out, oh, okay, this is several stories.
Several?
Two. So Julia's Love starts off with these two doctors walking down a hallway at a hospital. See this body on the ground in the hallway, and they go check up on this person. Find out it's like this mental patient's broken out, right? Kills the one female doctor, like smashes her head against the wall. Then goes up behind the other doctor who's checking on the body, breaks his neck.
Yeah.
Then see this guy getting out of his car, this poor putz, this poor sap, right, getting out of his car, and this other car comes behind him and just fucking creams him.
Side swipes
And
him.
it's this super dummy, it's like mannequin, this showroom mannequin. Guy gets out of a car and you just see his legs, right, and he's holding a straitjacket, and then he steals this red car. We then get introduced to Julia, and she's talking to her friends on the phone or whatnot, and meets up with her friends and says, well, I got this date with this guy I met, and we're gonna... Basically implying that all of her other dates have gone horribly, and she dates all these losers, and good luck. They seem to be hitting it off, right? And they're all flirtatious, and they like each other.
I noticed she orders a Coke, and they give her Pepsi.
Yeah.
No Coke, only Pepsi.
Yeah. Pepsi, Pepsi, Pepsi!
Yeah.
They get in his car. Hold on a sec, I gotta go buy some smokes. Gets out of his car and she puts on the radio. And they're talking about on the news how this mental patient escaped and has killed several people in his wake since he's left, right?
This is a wake!
They're describing the car he was last seen driving. And they're describing a red Golf. And she's sitting in a red Golf. And then reads off the license plate number, and she gets out and looks at the license plate, and it's the exact same license plate number they read on the newscast.
Yeah.
So she just fucking runs away. He comes back, and she's gone. but she's left her wallet there.
And so he ends up getting a prostitute. She comes up to the car, he's looking for a good time, and he ends up killing her, and he actually cuts her head right off. He starts driving to Julia's house. Car behind him is like, oh, come on, the light's green, let's go, you're taking too long. He's all honking. And he all throws the head out the sunroof onto the car behind him. So he makes it to Julia's house. There's the mother in the kitchen, and she's like cleaning up, and she puts her hand on this butter, and like you see this machete chop all her fingers off
Into the butter?
and then proceeds to slit her throat too. And the dad is like watching the news.
What are you doing in there?
And that's it. The killer takes a machete and chops him right in the side of the face. Proceeds to slaughter Julia's sister in the bathroom. It's a fucking bloodbath.
Yeah,
It's
everywhere.
crazy.
It's crazy, yeah.
Put the sister in the bathtub and started her on fire too.
Yeah.
It was all smoking and everything.
Yeah,
like
Jesus.
fucking crazy.
Crazy.
So they have a bit of a showdown, him and Julia, and they have a big fight. And the killer's all sadistic too. He even makes her swallow that eyeball, her mom's eyeball, and it goes like, you see the perspective from inside of the mouth?
Yeah,
Like-
and rolling down, and it's rolling down the windpipe and everything.
That's
pretty cool.
Ugh. But it all comes to a head outside when the cop pulls up, and he ends up killing the murderer, the escaped patient. I'm a cop. He threw a head on my car. I've been following you guys. I'm sorry I wasn't able to find you sooner.
You're gonna throw a head at someone. Don't throw it at a cop.
Yeah, that's the lesson here.
The next story that he proceeds to tell his sister is called The Purity. Woman getting on this bike at night. She gets attacked by this mustache guy.
This lame
Mustache guy. But he does, like, he looks like a rapist. Like, if you're to picture a rapist in your mind, it's this guy. It's Dictionary rapist. And he rapes her.
Yeah.
Like, and it's a pretty graphic scene. Even the tan lines on his ass. Like, he pulls down his pants. You can all see he's been tanning. You can see where his, like, his...
It all ends.
Where his Speedo line is. Fades on the rapist's face. And you find out that he's a priest. And he's actually conducting the funeral now for this person he's just murdered.
Right. Bastard, eh?
Yeah. After the funeral, he's talking to one of the townspeople, and this person is kind of like, you figure, like the town loser, like
Yeah.
the town idiot. He's saying, everyone's blaming me for these weird things that are happening in town, like this rape and murder that just happened. The priest tells him, you know, don't worry. If anyone in the town does anything to harm you and you're innocent, they're the ones that will burn in hell.
Burn in hell!
Burn in hell!
Ah! Burn in hell! Burn! Burn in hell! Ah!
There's a couple trying to sleep at night and they hear these noises. The husband gets up and looks around and doesn't see anything, and he sits down on the couch and gets his big bottle of whiskey or whatever it is to fucking drinking. There's a lot of drinking in this segment, actually. In this whole movie, there's a lot of drinking.
Yeah.
So it's our kind of movie. That priest guy breaks into the house and he's got this gun and shoots the guy like tons of times. He even reloads his 6-shooter and shoots him more.
You've been purified. He kidnaps the wife, and he's got her chained up, and he's doing all these weird rituals and everything, like reading from a book, and he ends up slitting her throat.
He's all got a shirt on.
Yeah, he's all out of shape in there. He collects the blood, and he ends up drinking it, proceeds to commit suicide. There's a bunch of townsfolk in one of these pubs or like these taverns or whatever. It's all boring, and like there's no music or anything. They're just drinking. But they end up paying this one guy to go and kill that sort of town idiot guy, blaming him. So
Even for the priest's death, they're blaming him.
poor bastard, he's outside.
He's in his overalls.
Yeah, and they're all short and too tight. You see a hammer come out of nowhere and just hit him right in the head. Keeps hitting him, like the guy keeps whacking him with this sledgehammer. And then when you think he's dead, he just keeps going and keeps beating the shit out of him. He's all kicking him in the ribs and everything.
Stabbing him and everything, and
Fuck.
puts that big fucking like pitchfork through him, like a little overboard.
Well, if you wanted to make sure he's dead, I think mission
That
accomplished.
guy's dead. He's fucking mush.
Yeah. We then see the guy who he killed, he actually gets up and he like pulls the pitchfork out. He walks to his house and you see his finger and he draws out 666 in blood. Yeah. It's like stamping the house, you know.
Yeah.
This guy starts getting these weird pains and everything in his stomach. He's all writhing around and convulsing. Then he like goes into like catatonic and he goes to hell basically.
Basically, yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, and like we get shots of him being in hell and like strapped down to this table. And there's like these
Demons.
yeah, these demon
I guess, yeah.
guys, I guess, like these
Cenobites almost. Yeah.
yeah. And they start torturing him. They start drilling his teeth and like they take a corkscrew to his eyeball and everything and like they slit him down the middle and they start pulling all his guts out
Yeah.
and shit. And then they saw him in half. They like pull his legs apart and like rip him in half.
Quarter him.
Like, it's pretty fucking wild. It then cuts back to this loser kid who's looking after his sister from the beginning. And that's where we're going to end it because there's a little bit of a twist that happens. We don't want to spoil it for you. Keep watching Burning Moon to find out what happens.
But is it trash or treasure? Face value, look at this movie, look at the production quality. You think it might be an easy choice, but no, it's not.
Yeah.
So let's start with the treasure first. What's really good about Burning Moon? Well, the first thing is obviously the effects.
That's right, yeah.
Like-
They stand out.
Its shining moment in this movie is all the effects. Holy Christ, like on a low budget, they pull out all the stops.
Yeah, it's really fucking good.
Yeah. The quantity of blood is amazing. But like the effects are Hollywood quality effects.
Yeah.
Like when the dad gets that machete through the side of his fucking face.
Yeah.
It's like magic.
Yeah,
It's like a
it's-
magic trick.
It's really good, yeah. It kind of leaves you guessing how they did it, which
Yeah.
means that they pulled off a perfect effect.
Gory as hell. So for
Mm-hmm.
people who like gore, you gore hounds and splatter fans, well, this movie is perfect for you.
One of the hallmarks of this movie is that hell scene. Basically, at the end, the killer goes to hell and he's experiencing all his torture and also seeing all these people in hell too,
Yeah,
like
like-
experiencing pain and suffering.
Yeah, people in these cages and people with their guts hanging out
Yeah.
and people ripped in half, like
and suffering.
that guy all on fire for no reason.
Yeah.
It's crazy. That might be one of the best depictions of hell I've seen, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
It's
yeah.
pretty crazy.
It's a place you don't want to visit,
Yeah.
right? It's like,
Yeah.
oh man, this is fucking nuts. The music is really good for this movie.
right off the hop.
Yeah.
Like, you notice the music and you notice like the film quality being shot on video is kind of shitty.
Mm-hmm.
But then you hear the music and you're like, but that music is really fucking good.
Yeah, it's
like,
good. It's like this electronic score or
Yeah.
whatever that they got. It's like,
yeah, it's really good.
the way the movie looks, though, like, production value may not be so good, but it's shot really well. Like, the lighting is really good in this movie. The night shots with the backlighting
Yeah.
and the fog and everything, really good.
Yeah, like they knew what they were doing. Like
Yeah.
you can tell these people had an understanding of movie making going in, an understanding of lighting and all that kind of stuff. It's just it was not shot on a good medium,
Yeah.
you know? But even like the settings are pretty cool too, like that village that the second story takes place in takes you out of your living room or whatever that you're watching it in. Like you almost feel like you're put in this weird village. It's a neat setting. Like even that church, that weird small, like
Yeah.
size of a closet church that they're in.
Yeah,
like,
because it's kind of how it would be in a
Yeah.
small town.
yeah, it's I like that setting. So the setting for the second story is really good. Legitimately good stories.
Yeah, they're executed pretty well, too.
Yeah, like Julia's Love is kind of cookie cutter. But it does do some interesting, new, smart things that I wasn't expecting to see in what was basically like a Halloween ripoff. You know, the escaped mental patient. The scene in the car with the news thing, you know? I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah, it was really good. And then the head, too, and he throws the head. It's like, it's this comedic moment, but it's still really good, you know?
And
It's
then it wraps up the story where you find out he threw the head at a cop.
right.
And that's his downfall, you know? It's pretty fucking good. Story for the Purity is really good, too. It's out there.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a
weird,
strange story. And it's kind of unsettling, too, that you got this priest who's got everybody in his confidence, right? And he's the one doing all this bad shit.
But I think that brings us to the trash part of Burning Moon, which also is that second story. It's very confusing and convoluted and like, what the fuck is even going on?
Right, yeah.
Like,
yeah,
it's weird to a point of being almost too weird, like weird for the sake of weird, you know?
Yeah, more of a vehicle to showcase the effects.
The effects, right.
So they focus more on that rather than the story side of it.
Yeah. It's still a neat story, but it doesn't really make any sense. Like, this guy gets up and writes 666 on the building, and the guy is in hell suddenly? Like, I don't know, like... Another piece of trash about this movie, the production quality, besides the effects, besides the lighting, you know, it's shot on video. It's never gonna look good.
Yeah, it's not necessarily their fault, though, either, right? It's just the way that they shot it. It's the way they had to do it. You had a choice to fucking film in Panavision or whatever. It's like, everybody would have done it.
Yeah, but, you know, I guess, of course, cost is an issue, and... What's available to you at the moment for a shot-on-video fucking movie? This might be one of the best I've seen.
Yeah, a lot of them are really shitty. And the acting, too, for this movie, not so good, but it could also be the fact that it's a foreign film, right?
Yeah, again, you're just reading subtitles, so it's like, I don't know, like...
It's kind of hard
I don't know if the acting's good, I don't know, like, I can't tell. Another piece of trash in this, and it's just a slight piece of trash, is the pacing in the two stories could be tightened up.
It's still a pretty solid movie, overall.
Considering,
Yeah.
So, is Burning Moon trash or treasure?
It's treasure!
Yeah, I'd say it's treasure for sure, too. Like, again, like we said earlier, for a shot-on-video film, man, it's pretty fucking good.
Yeah, it's pretty good, you know. It's like, if they would have had a lot more money, this would have been, like, even better, you know?
Imagine what this movie could have done with, say, Hellraiser's budget.
Right.
Which probably wasn't a huge budget, but, you know, respectable. Probably quite well known.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I think so.
It's kind of sad that a movie like this, just because of the fact it's shot on video, probably doesn't get nearly the amount of views, you know, or love that it deserves, because it looks like it's fucking shot on someone's camcorder.
Yeah.
Any fan of blood and splatter gore movies, you have to check out Burning Moon. It's got everything you want, really.
It's done really well for the budget that they had, you know. And if you like anthology movies, right? Because this has the stories in it too. So
technically 3 stories, if you want to count that loser asshole.
Right. So there you have it, Burning Moon. Really good, low-budget anthology movie.
Give it one watch. I think this movie deserves one watch at least from every horror fan.
For sure. And until next time, keep drinking.